Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's session, the very first session of the new year. So this session still continues in 2021. Each session, we still continue this very fresh energy to channel energy to more and more people. For many people, the new year means a lot, means a new beginning. And many people has made New Year resolution. And hopefully, meditation is also part of your resolution if you has made it. Meditation means a lot. Perhaps also means nothing. It is only a word. The word itself means nothing. But look at ourselves. Look at the words, the language. They have played such a role in our life. So importantly. No matter you are speaking Dutch, German, Spanish, or Chinese, or English, whatever. Have you ever noticed the function of language in your life? Or have you put the language in the right place in your life? It seems that the language has given us a lot of space to communicate, to resonate with other peoples, to have all kinds of commotions, all kinds of feelings, enhance each other. But do we really have a communication via languages? It seems that the misunderstanding is very prevalent due to languages. Look at the daily conflicts between human beings in your life, in the classroom, in the office, in your life. Have you ever noticed that? Merely based on words, there's only miscommunication. When we are bothered by this miscommunication, by the conflicts due to this communication, have you ever really noticed the way of life is so dependent on languages? Nowadays, the internet is everywhere. I guess almost everybody has a mobile phone, right? To send the message every day. Also read the news. Also watch all kinds of TV or videos, which also mostly based on languages, besides the images. the email, books, all kind of things is in verse. Have you ever noticed this influence of the language on your life so subtly, so deeply? Have you ever considered what's the relationship between you and the language? You are the language? Or you are different from languages? Look at the life we are living. We are so dependent on words, on expressions. When somebody praises me, I feel happy. But when somebody insults me, I feel hurt. It seems that me is a bunch of words. It's a bunch of expressions. I have to defend it, to defend this image made up by the words, by the expressions. So I resort to words to form my identity. The identity is a very hot topic in the Western culture, which is crazy. Everybody is craving for all kinds of identity. Try to describe it by some words, by some keywords to label it. Are we really different from words? Or not? It seems that we are the words. We are depending on how to word ourselves. Have you ever noticed that such a life is full of sorrow, full of hurt, full of trouble? Our mind is degraded into a few words, a few sentences, a bunch of expressions. And we are fully dependent on words to see each other. Have you ever noticed that when you are texting to your friends, it's very different from when you are seeing your friends face by face? The images, the thoughts triggered by words is very different from what you are seeing when you are seeing your friends. I guess most people might have noticed this difference. When you are seeing your friends, seeing people, it is taking place in actuality if you are not carried away by thoughts. But when we are texting each other, we are all relying on the thoughts, on images, and also the past impressions. For many things, we can communicate, of course. But also for many things, we can't. So to meditate is to understand this, understand our trouble, which is associated with this. to see it clearly. We don't need to use our logics or intellect to conclude something. Can we perceive it? Can we see it directly? See this phenomenon which is taking place at each moment of the life. To find out why the hostility or the animosity triggered by a verse. Why we are so dependent on verbal statement. In the Western culture, the verbal statement or any kind of statement based on verse play such a role in life. Here, we don't deny it, but can we observe the influence of it on life? Can we live a life not content by verse? Can we live a free life, not a permissive life? I mean, a free life means the mind is free. Free from fear. Have you ever noticed that? We are always living in the past. When the mind is identified with verse, we are always living in the past. Have you ever noticed that? No matter what is taking place, as long as we describe it, it is no longer new. It's known. The known is always old. So when we are relying on words, we are always relying on the past to speak, to communicate. So we have to question ourselves, are we really seeing each other at this moment? Are we really seeing each other as friends without any projections from the past? I guess for many people, the holiday season is quite a tricky time, right? You have a lot of people to meet, old friends, families. You might find that it is so easy to trigger the past. The face, the verse, anything you see or touch can be a trigger to let you remember the past, to associate the past. In many places on this planet, around this big season, big holidays like Christmas holidays or the Spring Festival in China, there's a lot of a reunion of the friends, the families. It is time for all kinds of mental challenges. The past is so easy to be back around this time. Some might be good memories, some might be not so pleasant memories. But around this time, it is also a very good time to practice meditation. That's to see your friends, to see your families with a very fresh eye. Can you do that? Or have you done that? To see everybody you have known with a fresh eye. If you have done that yet, and you have some friends to meet in the next few days, try it. Similarly, can we do this at each moment? Can we treat each day with a fresh eye, with a fresh mind? Can we keep the thoughts away? Keep the projection from the past away from this moment? If we can do this, every day is a new year, isn't it? Brand new. You don't need to wait until January 1st to get some kind of feeling of freshness. You can have it every day, each moment. But if we find, at the moment, it's difficult for me to really treat this moment with a fresh eye, then I have to ask myself, why? This question is very important because it will lead me to explore my mind a little more. Why can't I stay at this moment? Why did the past always pop up to block me from seeing things as they are? And this is the journey in meditation. And today, we look at the language together to try to understand, to get some intuition about the relationship between the past and the language. If the language didn't stay in the right place, the language would put us in the past. In many cultures, in many countries, almost everybody on this planet, the human beings has excessively relying on the language, which inevitably lead to a very divided life, a very fragmented life, which all belong to the past. So before we continue the topic, let's keep silent for 3 or 4 minutes to empty the mind, to empty everything you have known about yourself. to invite ourselves back to a state of unknown. Stay unknown. Look at this word. By the way, what is a word? The mind is the word. The word is the mind, isn't it? It seems that there's an outside world around you. But it is your inner projection to make you perceive this world, isn't it? Because the neurons, because the reactions of neurons to the outside environment, and also the inside environment, the mind, the thoughts, whatever. For most people, they ignore this. They just simply regard the outside world as world. For them, they have no inner world. The door is closed. Always closed. Until one proactively unlock it and open it. For most people on this planet, of course, including people around you, even including ourselves, the mind has been degraded into verse, all kinds of expressions. Therefore, the mind has become so chattery, isn't it? We keep talking all the time. Even when we close our mouths, the mind still continue the chattering state. Even in the dreams. We are really working hard, right? Really hard. Unstoppable. Can it stop? Why the mind is so chattery? There are so many self-talks taking place every day. The mind is the verse. The verse is the mind. Everybody is so reactionary to verse in all kinds of ways. Do you ever notice that this world is purely neurotic? When our reactions is purely based on verse, based on the images triggered by verse, to get some pleasure, which is also give us a lot of pain, inevitably. Such a reaction makes the mind so neurotic. Look at the complaints made by people on this society. Isn't it the result of the neuroticism? Can we live a life free from this neuroticism? To free the mind from the neuroticism means to free the mind from the attachment to verse. what are words? What is language? It is very important to inquire into this question, or the origin of the language. It's not about question about what's the origin language of Dutch, German, Spanish, or Chinese. That's not the question we ask. But how human beings created language. What is language? It's a bunch of symbols, words. They are all symbols, right? Or some pictures, like in Chinese, whatever, or in whichever language. So we map our mental activities to some symbols, which has their logic to make longer expressions. So generally, language is a map from the inner state of mind to these symbols. To be able to communicate with you, we both have to agree on the mapping. We use the same symbols and map similarly, so we can communicate. Right? When we use a cup to mean some container to hold water, though this word cup may trigger different images between us. Probably when I hear this word, it is a glass cup pop up into my mind. Probably in your mind, it is a metal cup. But most time we don't care about these details. So that kind of communication may be okay for many life situations. But when we are communicating about the psychology, the inner world, everything is becoming tricky. And the difference of the mapping from the mind to the symbols matters here. What you mean by the mental status is different from mine. Therefore, no matter how hard you describe it, I can't 100% feel what you are talking about. But look at this world. People are so reliant on words, expressions, to verbally communicate their emotions, their feelings to each other. Can you imagine the possible misunderstanding from this? If we are not aware of the limitation of languages. We are depending on words to describe emotions, the feelings. And we are the verse. The verse is me. So without realizing how the language is generated, we are all the users of language, right? because we as an individual, or individual, we never create a language. We only learn. We only inherit it from the past and generations. So that's why we are totally unaware of this. And then, because this kind of ignorance, we just mistakenly identify ourselves with languages. It happens generation by generation. That's why the language, which is misused in this way, has contributed a lot to the formation of a culture. In that culture, people share similar reactions, similar emotions, which is also the reactions, the result of the reactions, which further re-enhance the misperception that the language can be used to communicate the feelings. It's such a big loop. But it's still a loop, isn't it? So that's most people's life in this way. The culture is also so reliant on the words, on expressions. The mind is totally trapped in that way. We are relying on the thoughts, images triggered by a verse. They are all old, isn't it? They are never new. Anything which is really new is beyond verse, isn't it? As long as one began to verbalize something, one must have known it, must have recognized it, so one can describe it, which means that it is already old. Such a verbal life, which is shown in all levels of life, from the individual to the culture to the whole world. Such a life is an old life, isn't it? Always stays in knowing. Always stay in the loop. And when we begin to have the mental challenges begin to form a loop again, following the same pattern, until one proactively breaks it, breaks and loops apart without forming new ones. And this is the journey of meditation. So if we can't put a language in the right place, the language will trap us in the past. Actually, it is doing now, right? To almost everyone on this planet. And that's also probably explain why it's so challenging to be present, to live present, to stay at present. And to be really able to be present, to live a simple life, we have to figure out to see clearly the pitfalls of the language, the verbal communication that gives us. Also, we need to see clearly the social issues, the problems of the society due to this kind of mind issues. It is both collective and individual, isn't it? Because the society is made up of millions, billions of individuals. It is the same issue, showing in different skills. That's it, right? So to meditate is to ask myself and explore whether this person as an individual to live a free life. To live life, the mind is not caught up in the society. It doesn't mean that I move away from society, but my mind is not there. Because I have seen the danger of this society. I have seen the danger of the self, danger of all kinds of mental traps. And this seriousness will ignite one's passion to attain inward, and also one's passion to live a life simply, beautifully, and artistically. So now it's time for us to meditate. Before we finish the session, probably we can still have a few minutes for questions or comments or whatever. But now let's empty the mind first. To follow the audio guide, let's come back to this moment, to empty the consciousness, to empty the me, the self. Let's do it. Now, let's take a 10-minute meditation. Start by taking a moment to find a comfortable position to sit in a posture that you feel relaxed and get alert. Let hands rest on your knees or laps. Let the eyes close gently. Soften your forehead. Act a soft smile in the corner of your lips. Breathe naturally. As you breathe in, be aware that you are breathing in. Feel the sensation of breathing in. The region can be the nostrils, can be the belly, can be anywhere. Focus on the part you feel most. As you breathe out, be aware that you are breathing out. Feel the sensation of breathing out. The region can be the nostrils, can be the belly, can be anywhere. Focus on the part you feel most. Fix your attention on the breath. Let go of any thought, words, images. This moment, nothing is more important than breath. While you are listening to the bell, check where your attention is. If it wasn't on the breath, after the bell, gently invite your attention back to the breath and sustain your attention on the breath. Slowly bring your awareness back to this room. Feel into your body. Wiggle your fingers and toes. When you are ready, open your eyes. Hopefully, everybody has had a good time in the past 10 minutes to calm down the mind a little bit more after this such a long discussion. The mind must have been a little busy and activated. So now it's time for questions or comments or anything you want to speak about meditation or anything you want to ask.
So, can I ask again?
Yeah, well, of course.
Thank you for this session also. It's great. We are trying to do something quite strange, like using the mind to stop the mind. It's not so easy because thoughts are created, and then, or sometimes we try with thoughts to stop thoughts. This is my experience. Like I say, I must stop thoughts, but then this is also a thought.
It's a self loop.
It's like, yes, it's not always like that. Sometimes the thoughts just stop, and then I am in this zone that we say, without thoughts. But then thoughts come back again. Sometimes I can observe them, but very often I miss the starting point. And then I can get lost. But then it's good that we have this bell to come back. So I guess gradually, at some point, it can progress to this stage of no thoughts at all, just observing the breath. Sometimes for me it's easier when I observe the body, not the breath, but I feel more the body as a whole. Sometimes I feel some tension releasing. So I go back and forth to the breath and to the body. One question that I had, 10 minutes is a short time. What is like for a good time for if you want to progress?
So, yeah, many people have this impression that, oh yeah, thoughts, to let thoughts stop. But when we have this kind of view or perception, it involves some sort of control.
Yeah.
We want to use some thoughts to control the other thoughts, in the hope to let all of them die. But in this control, if you really observe it carefully, it won't let the thoughts disappear. It can only takes place when we only observe it, without being an observer. It can be very counterintuitive. Can you observe the thoughts without being an observer? Because the observer itself is you, the self, the ego. The problem is not to have new thoughts, because that's another ambition one has developed for the meditation. I want to have new thoughts. My mind has new thoughts. And then you die. Because a person who is alive can't have new thoughts. But to meditate is, can we free ourselves from the attachment to thoughts? Can we observe the thoughts arising, but without any identification with thoughts? Have we noticed that we tend to identify ourselves with thoughts? Then the self comes back, the ego comes back. So to meditate is to observe everything without being an observer. In that observance, there's no control. There's no seeking. I don't want to seek. There's no seeking to achieve something. Nothing to achieve. Because the very desire to achieve is still from the center, the self. You see, because of this, it leads to this kind of impression that thoughts control thoughts. It's like a bowl of water. The only thing you can do is let the water stop naturally. But if you use a stick to stir it, the water is always turbulent. So, how to observe it? How to feel it without any image, without any association? Just observe it. That's meditate. That's the way I need to inquire into this. How can I observe the breath or the whole body? It doesn't matter what we observe. The whole body is also a very good object to observe. How can we observe it? First, without an image. Second, without any associations. Which also concern today's topic, the language. How can I observe it without any verbalization? Because for many people, this kind of mental verbalization takes place a lot. Can I just observe the breath or the body without all of this? And then try it and have a look. And also, by the way, you mentioned the length of time of meditation. I think there's no real progress or whatever, because it is all imagined. Everybody has their own way to progress, if there's progress. But the time can vary. It really depends on you. I think for many people who just start this journey, maybe 10 minutes is fair enough for a few days. And of course, you can try to extend it to 15 minutes, 20 minutes, step little by little. And of course, at the beginning of this stage, probably you can have this ring bell every 2 or 3 minutes as a reminder to invite you back to the breath or the body. And as you practice a little more longer, in a couple few weeks or months, you will find it's much easier to do that. But don't think about that. Oh, when should I make progress? This can maybe block your progress. So just do it without any expectation. Just like live life, moment by moment, without thinking about the future. And you will be there. When you are there, you are there. And also, there's because this year the Mindiverse will run as a non-profit foundation, and probably we want to start a course, a 9-week course, meditation course. It's for free and it's donation based. If anybody who is interested in this, you can join this course together. We can explore the mind for 9 weeks, and you can practice meditation and learn more details about the technique and the mind in a more systematic way. And the course, of course, again, is free, and of course, it's open to donations. And if you are interested, you can check out the website clarity.mindiverse.org.
When does it start, the course?
Maybe in a couple few weeks, maybe next week or next 2 weeks or next 3 weeks. Because we hope that we can have a few more people sign up, so we can start this journey together. So maybe let's wait if there are more people join in a couple of days. We can start quite soon. But anything, you can check out the website, and if you are interested in, just email us. And then we can start this journey quite soon. And this really needs everybody to be serious about the mind. And when you really give your attention to it, everything will pay off.
Yes, it does.
And any other questions from anybody else? If no, probably that's the end of today's session. And thank you for everybody being here tonight to spend this session together. And hopefully we can see each other in the future. And I think today, Gabi, Anna, Bob, Ari, and thank you for being here. And hopefully we can see each other again in the future. And be present. Enjoy each moment. To live a life, moment by moment. And if you do this already, this is already meditation. And of course, if you are interested in this free course, it's called Meditation for Clarity. Don't forget to check out the website, clarity.mindiverse.org.
Is it a new website, a new site?
Yes, maybe I can type here.
Yes, it's okay. We'll find it. Yeah.
Ooh. Polarity. Ooh. And again, take care and see you in the future. Take care.
You too. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. See you.
Now.